The Professor's back! Week 5, brought to you in part by the following. As always, we're back to share with you fantasy football insider information to help your matchups in Week 5. School is in session. The first matchup we have is Arizona Cardinals at the St. Louis Rams. Arizona 4-0. The Rams, I don't know, they're disappointing. It's a divisional matchup, so it will be a good game. Kerry Cobb has actually been on fire the last couple weeks, and for those of you who own Larry Fitzgerald in your leagues, I'm sure you've been excited to see that. I like Kerry Cobb this week. I like Larry Fitzgerald. As for most of the other people, there's not too much to like. Steven Jackson's coming off an injury. I'm not too fond of him. And Danny Amendola does have 31 catches. He might be the only bright side of the Rams. Up next, we have the Atlanta Falcons at the Washington Redskins. RG3 has looked impressive. He hasn't got a lot of wins to show, but guess what? In fantasy football, wins don't matter. You just got to score points. And that guy can run the ball. He can throw the ball. Atlanta's defense is tough, but you saw what Cam Newton did last week. RG3 might be able to do the same thing. Now, I do like Matt Ryan. I like him a lot, and pretty much the whole Atlanta offense. If you've got Michael Turner, he's put on quite a show the last 2 weeks. Roddy White has been impressive, and even Tony Gonzalez. Matt Ryan does lead the league with 11 touchdowns right now. Other than that, for Washington, Alfred Morris maybe gets a start. Fred Davis leads their team in catches as a tight end position. Maybe he gets a start, but mainly it's all about RG3. Up next brings us to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. If there was a robot that created turnovers, its name would be the Michael Vickertron 2000. Michael Vick has created a lot of turnovers this year, and he's only got 4 touchdowns. He's a tough start, but he's dangerous with his legs. He's going to get you some points. The turnovers just mean less points for you. LaShawn McCoy's only got 1 touchdown so far this year, so he's a gamble too, but he's dangerous. He can always catch balls out of the backfield, and he's dangerous, and he's usually good for a touchdown. Ben Roethlisberger, on the other hand, that guy's thrown for 8 touchdowns already this year. I really like him. I like Antonio Brown this week. I like Mike Wallace. They're big playmakers. They can make a play anytime they get the ball. As far as the running back position in Pittsburgh, you can't really trust any of those guys. Now that Mendenhall's coming back, it's like a 3-headed monster. The only other person I like on Pittsburgh is Heath Miller at the tight end position. They like to get him the ball. The next matchup we have in store for you is the Green Bay Packers at the Indianapolis Colts. There's not a lot to like on the Indianapolis side of the ball. Green Bay's defense is pretty tough. I really don't like their running backs. I really don't like, maybe Reggie Wayne is about the only one I like, just because they'll fall behind and Andrew Luck will have to throw the ball. Donnie Avery, on the other hand, that's a gamble. I don't like him. Green Bay, you got to like most of their offense, but you do got to like especially Cedric Benson in the run game, because I think it's going to be a blowout and he's going to get a lot of garbage time carries. Aaron Rodgers will probably throw for a couple touchdowns, so you got to start him. Greg Jennings probably is out with an injury, so who do you start? Maybe Greg Jones, maybe Jordy Nelson, definitely. Jermichael Finley at tight end, I'd look for him to have a few catches as well. Next matchup we have is the Cleveland Browns at the New York Giants. On the Cleveland side of the ball, once again, not a lot to like. The only thing I really like on that side is Trent Richardson, and that's because he's been a top 10 running back the last 2 weeks. He's scored a lot of points if you've had him on your team. He'll do good again. The Giants, that's just the main part of their offense is Trent Richardson. So they're going to throw him the ball out of the backfield. He's going to run it. He'll get you some points even against that tough Giants defense. As for the Giants, I really like Eli Manning. I think he's going to have a little bit better game than he had this past week. And against that nice and easy Cleveland Brown defense, I think Victor Cruz and Hickson will even get some action. Up next, we have the Miami Dolphins at the Cincinnati Bengals. Once again, on the Miami side, not too much to like. Reggie Bush is still coming off an injury. I don't know if I'd start him against Cincinnati's tough defense. And, don't be fooled by Brian Hartline's week last week. That was a little bit of a, I don't want to say a fluke. That's a career day. Good job. He did have like 40-something fantasy points. Amazing. But I don't think he's going to do the same. You're going to have 2 career days, in this next week. So I don't look for him to be that good, even though they will be behind and probably have to throw the ball. For Cincinnati, Andy Dalton's looked great. Start him. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, you'll probably want to start him, even though Miami is fairly tough against the run. And, of course, A.J. Green, the guy's a monster. You've got to start him every week. So the next matchup we bring you is the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City's defense has been pretty soft for opposing teams this year, so I look for Joe Flacco to have a really good day, as well as Ray Rice, although he could be sitting out by the end of the third quarter just because they could have that big of a cushion. But if they do, that would only be because Torrey Smith has a couple big plays for some big yards, and same with Anquan Bolden. I don't know if you saw him last week, but he had a few monster grabs, and I think he'll continue to catch a lot of balls. Dennis Pitta got shut down last week. They did try to get him the ball. There was a couple penalties. I think they'll continue to do that. If you have him, don't get frustrated yet. He'll be back soon. Don't worry. On Kansas City side, of course, Dwayne Bowe. Jamal Charles had a monster week 2 weeks ago. Last week still did pretty good, but he is going up against Baltimore's defense. I like him, but I don't like him a lot. And now we have Seattle Seahawks versus the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton finally got it going last week. He's going up against a really tough Seattle defense. I think he'll get you a few points above his projections, but he's not going to do anything special against that defense, but he will get you some points. On the other hand, Marshawn Lynch, I do like him against the Carolina defense, and I think he'll have an above-average day as well. Don't look for anything too crazy, but yeah, he's going to score 5 to 10 points more than he's projected. And then on the Carolina side of the ball at receiver, not a huge fan of really any of them except for Steve Smith. Greg Olsen had a pretty big week last week, but Seattle's pretty tough. And the next matchup we have is the Chicago Bears at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jay Cutler, he actually did pretty good this past week if you saw him, and I think he's going to do great again just because really the Jags have no D. Brandon Marshall will definitely get involved. And I even like Matt Forte now that he's coming back off his injury. I think he'll get a little more playing time next week, and I actually think you can look for him to score you above average points. As far as the Jacksonville side of the ball, really the only player to like is Maurice Jones-Drew. He's about 55 to 60% of their offense, so he's going to get his touches. He's going to score you points, even if it is against a tough Chicago defense. And the main reason why is because the Jacksonville Jaguars, their leading receiver, has 9 catches this year. You can't have anybody in their receiving corps on your team. And the next matchup we have in store is the Tennessee Titans at the Minnesota Vikings. Not a lot to like on the Titans side of the ball. Really, Chris Johnson, he finally got it going last week, scored you some points. He's going to fizzle out this week because he's going up against a very, very, very tough Minnesota defense. On the other side of the ball, Adrian Peterson, he's going to have a great game against the Tennessee Titans. Jerome Simpson's back. He's available in a lot of leagues in the free agent market, and he's taken over as the number 2 and maybe even the number 1 Vikings receiver. You may look to pick him up. Kyle Rudolph had a rough week last week, although he has scored in the last 2 weeks before that, so you may look to give him another chance against the Titans. And next, we have the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots. I am giddy like a schoolgirl to see this matchup. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, are you kidding me? Let's do this. He's as a Bronco now, but he's got some receivers in Decker and Demaryius Thomas. Those guys both have 24 and 21 receptions on the year. They are going to catch a lot of Peyton's throws. He does like to get it to his tight end, Dreesen. He's not a bad play. McGee, he's going to be a really good play against New England. Did you see that game last week? It was a just complete shootout. I really think it's going to be a good game for people all around. Brady, who do you start on the running back side for New England, though? Ridley, he's had some great games. I think if you have him, you got to roll with him. And Bolden's backup role, I think he's going to play a little more backup this week. Welker's back. He's got no TDs, but he's got 25 receptions already this year and over 380 yards. Up next, we have the Buffalo Bills and the San Francisco 49ers. Ryan Fitzpatrick had 5 touchdowns just last week and also 5 interceptions. Alex Smith has only 5 touchdowns on the year. Really not a lot to like on either of those areas, especially since Fitzpatrick is going up against a tough 49ers defense. On the other hand, CJ Spiller is back. Fred Jackson is also back. So now who do you start? Take your gamble. My gamble, to be honest, is probably still on Spiller right now. Stevie Johnson, he's going to have a rough go against the San Francisco 49ers defense. I like Vernon Davis. I like Frank Gore. I think the Bills are kind of soft against the run. Those two should have above average days. And the Sunday night matchup we have for you is the San Diego Chargers at the New Orleans Saints. Phillip Rivers finally got it going last week after having, 2 points the week before. So I think against kind of a soft New Orleans defense, they're a little they're a little kind of in shambles, being 0-4, and their defense is kind of soft. They just get in shootouts. So I look for Philip Rivers to have a decent game, along with Malcolm Floyd, who's been a little disappointing this far, and Ryan Matthews as well, coming off that injury. I think he's going to get more and more involved in the offense, and as long as he can hold on to the ball, he's going to get you some points. New Orleans, Drew Brees, he's always going to get you points. They may not win, but he'll get you points, especially if they fall behind early against San Diego. They're going to have to throw. He'll get you points, as well as Colston. I'm not too fond of either of the running backs there, but Jimmy Graham, he'll always find a way to score you some points. The last matchup we have, the Monday night game, which is Houston Texans at the New York Jets. Wow, the Jets were disappointing this last week, and I think they will be again against a tough Houston Texans defense. Are we going to see Tebow anytime soon? He might be the only one on the Jets who can get you some points. I don't like Sean Green. He gets a really tough D. Santonio Holmes, I think he's hurt, so I don't think he's playing. They don't have too many other great options at receiver, and Sanchez throwing them the ball is not the greatest. Matt Schaub does have 7 touchdowns. He'll get you some points, as well as Andre Johnson's a monster, and Arian Foster again. That guy's amazing. Ellen Daniels came on good last week. He should have another strong Monday night game. And with week 5 comes bye weeks. And you know what that means? That means you're going to have some players that are going to be on the bench because they don't have a game and they can't score you any points. So if you have any players that play for the Cowboys, Lions, Raiders, or Buccaneers, listen up. Here's a few players that are maybe available on your waiver wire that you could pick up and should get you some points this week as a decent substitution. Look for Kerry Cobb. A lot of leagues still have him available. He's going up against Washington's defense, and they've given up a lot of points to the opposing quarterbacks, and he's been getting it going with Fitzgerald. And speaking of which, Andre Roberts, that wide receiver, is available in a lot of leagues. He had a really big week last week. Look for him to do the same this week too. Christian Ponder as a quarterback against the Titans, soft Titans defense. He should do all right because he can run the ball. He's very good at decision making, doesn't have any turnovers. He should get you some points this week as a decent replacement for any quarterback that you have on your bench. Also, James Jones of the Green Bay Packers, wide receiver, he'll get you some points. And look for Jackie Battle to get a few points this week. And if you have some running backs on a bye week, you may want to get him off of waivers. And last but not least, in Cincinnati, Andy Dalton's throwing the ball around great. Look at Andrew Hawkins. He may be available in your league, and I think this week he'll have a pretty solid game. Thanks for joining the Professor in the Week 5 matchup show. Matter of fact, if you have any questions for the Professor for Week 6 in your matchups in your fantasy league, post a question in the comment box right down below, and we'll answer them in next week's webisode. Until then, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel for weekly updates, and follow us on Twitter. Tune in next week where I will show you how to make a real authentic NFL helmet out of a wicker basket.